Hello, Generation Text. I believe that's correct. My name is Hamza Jackson. I'm 31 years old from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I I'm a product of a broken home, I would say. I grew up with a mom who was a drug addict and a father who was constantly incarcerated in and out. I was pretty much raised by my sisters, two of my four sisters, and like my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, they all played, huge roles in my life. And I think the fact that my parents weren't necessarily there, my sisters were still growing teenagers and things. My uncles and aunts all had their own families and everything. I didn't really know how to take school for what it actually was. Um, I took it for granted. I kind of made it by the skin of my teeth. I was the first one of my siblings to graduate high school. I am the first one of my siblings to attend college. I will be the first one of my siblings to complete college as well. So a lot is happening in my life right now at 31. But as you can see, I think it's working. It's a lot, but it's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you do now for a living?
I am a professional photographer. I specialize in weddings and events. I've been in New York, New Jersey area for the past 4 years. And since I've been here, I've been doing a lot of like promotional videos, which I'm new at cinematography or videography, and a lot of different things with fashion people, fashion bloggers, fashion stylists, fashion, all that stuff. So constantly with my camera.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
And so tell me about that. You said you didn't like school. Were you can you tell me a little bit about what school was like for you? I mean, if you didn't like it, you barely got by. Were you not doing completing homework? Were you not studying for tests? Were you getting detentions? Were you getting punished? I mean, tell me about what
All of
school
that.
was really like.
Yeah. All everything you just mentioned. I um I don't recall like doing much homework from grade school. I know middle school I didn't do any homework. High school I definitely wasn't doing any homework. But I didn't study. I didn't know the concept of studying. I didn't know, to kind of sit in a space, and really process the information, but I wasn't paying much attention in school. So it wasn't much to take home to study books and things. I didn't carry book bags. I think I did enough in school, just enough. Clearly, I did enough because I graduated, just enough in school to get by. I never thought of any consequence or anything. I wasn't a bad kid, although I didn't have much structure. I wasn't bad. I wasn't into fights. I didn't damage property and things like that. I was just really nonchalant, um, I was just really nonchalant. And I think my personality kind of drew people in. So I kind of affected other people. My personality and behaviors kind of affected a small group of my friends at that time who would kind of just follow behind me. Like in eighth grade, I would go into my classroom because I knew my teacher was kind of emotional, which interestingly I'm finding out about myself. I knew he was kind of emotional and I could kind of trigger him. So I would go in his class and I would kick my feet up on his desk. He used to bring, he used to bring a Bible to school, and he used to always kind of quote scriptures or give us examples from the Bibles and stuff. And he would always say, Hamza, you're bigger than this. He's like, you are a leader. He's like, you kick your feet up on my desk, and then Asia kicks her feet up on the desk, and then Melody kicks her feet up on the desk. He's like, do you see, like, what you're creating? And at that time, I wasn't really grasping that concept. I was just like, I'm here. I'm here. Is that not enough? I'm here. I'll do some of my work. I'm not fighting, which was like the big thing. Everyone was fighting and damaging things. Just a lot happening. But I kind of took it for granted. I didn't do homework. I didn't study. I did just enough to get by, which now that I'm processing and as a college student now, really seeing maybe what their intentions were. You know, yeah, it's education, but it's structure. You know, it's responsibility. You know, it's ownership. It's a lot of different things that we're not seeing them teaching. We're seeing them trying to make us add letters and numbers together, you know, and teaching us about the 1700s when we weren't born and stuff like that. But it's bigger than that, you know, and I see it now. But I am grateful that I passed, that I got through, because had I taken it maybe a little less serious, I wouldn't have graduated. And growing up in Elizabeth, there was plenty of options for me, you know, drugs, uh, being the one selling them or taking them. You know, I see people my age now and they're kind of, um, you can tell that our environment really affected them negatively, shall I say, you know, and I don't judge because I understand, you know, but I'm always, you know, giving them a word, you know, of encouragement, because it's never too late. You know, it's never too late to take things seriously, to understand a lesson that you may have or that you could have learned 15 years ago. If you're just getting it now and you're in college or so, it's okay. You know, it's okay, because when we don't have the structure or the people to show us the things that we should have learned when we were younger, if we are smart enough to teach ourselves those things whenever in our lives, we take that, you know, take that, because we could be worse off. You know, we could be worse off.
That's really great. I love what you're saying. What I want to go back to the teacher that used to teach
Mr.
that,
Scalabrine.
and what did he teach? Do you remember?
It was language arts, which was
Okay.
like one of my favorite subjects.
Okay, and so do you think that had a big effect on you because he would encourage you, like you said? I mean, he would say, you are something great, you are
Yeah.
something bigger than just this.
Yeah, it definitely affected me because I wasn't hearing that anywhere else. I didn't have, uh, I didn't have family and friends encouraging me, you know, telling me that what I'm doing is okay. You know, I had a lot of discouragement. A lot of the things that I saw around me were negative. You know, I didn't know in school what I wanted. I just knew what I didn't want, and a lot of it was what I was seeing. So Mr. Scotland definitely affected me. I had a third grade teacher also, Mr. Flowers, who I remember, who I kind of work with now, who was also very empowering, you know, which I wasn't getting clearly in third grade. You don't necessarily get it, but he was meeting with my nephew and talking to my nephew, and a lot of the things were coming back, and I'm like, this is what I remember, Mr. Flowers, you know, telling me, you know, that it's okay. You know, what you're dealing with is heavy. The way you're responding to it makes sense, you know, but the fact that you understand that, try to think bigger. The fact that you see what you don't want, try to see what you do want. You know, he would say things to me, but of course wouldn't affect me. So seeing him then, just recently talking to my nephew, it brought a lot of the things back. His mannerisms, his tone, and everything kind of brought the words back. So those teachers
Well,
definitely.
and it sounds like it's never too late to learn.
No, definitely
It's
not.
never too late, even at 31, even at 47. It's never too late to say, teach me,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And so the other thing I wanted to ask you was, you know, when we go back to encouragement and things, and do you think that it would be a good idea if you were your age again, to try to seek out adults that you could surround yourself with, either at a part-time job or somebody that can mentor you, or even at a volunteer area that could give you that encouragement? Because I think when you're a teenager and you don't have that encouragement and you don't really know much about that, how do you know how to get that?
Did you say at that age, if you're talking about the high school age, or you talking about now?
Yeah, middle school or high school. I mean, how do you because it sounds to me like that was a real turning point, somebody encouraging you
Yeah.
and saying, I understand you, and you're okay, and it's going to be okay. And you can make this decision anytime you want. But you can't just say that in third grade, because by the time
Right.
you get to ninth or 10th grade, that's just not enough, right?
Yeah. Um, well, I guess growing up in such a growing up in Elizabeth, it's easy to see um, easy ways to make money. It's easy to see things that are destructive. With all the social media and TV and the things that's happening, the young adults now have a lot more access to information and knowledge and things like that. So when they're seeing people dealing drugs and dress nice, you also know that usually people dealing drugs are in a gang or something, and most people in a gang either end up in jail or dead. So with just that knowledge right there, you can make a decision. Do I want to go that way? Do I want to risk the rest of my life in prison? Do I want to risk my early life? Do I want to die now? And sometimes things may seem so difficult, or you may seem so lost that the easy way may feel like the right way, or I know it's not right, but it's the easiest thing. I don't know how to do anything else. I think and having those thoughts, it could also be power to push you to find alternatives. You know, um, Not having a mom or dad growing up, for me, it was difficult. But again, like I said, all I saw was what I didn't want. The people selling drugs. Yeah, I want the new sneakers and the new clothes and everything, but I could possibly die trying to get them. So I see people older than me, washing windows at McDonald's. And of course, a part of me is judging them, but I know they're going to get paid. They're going to get money from this. They're going to get something from this, regardless of what they decide to do with the money. They're going to reap some benefit, and they don't care, who's watching them, So I think, just when you know that something isn't right, just taking a few seconds to try to find something that can be right, something to counter it, that draws people to you. When you make a decision that's clearly a hard decision, like me, growing up in Elizabeth and it being hard, when I meet people now, like my teachers and things, they're always like so impressed, which makes me feel good, because I'm like, I know I could have done something else. I know I could have been somewhere else. I there was so many possibilities for me, and having that also, when people see you doing for yourself, that makes them want to do for you. You know, the people the teachers that I've reconnected with from school, how now they are reaching out to me, ask me, do I want to help other kids and stuff like that? And I'm thinking, 15 years ago, I was struggling. I was struggling. 15 years sounds like a lot of time, but I mean, I was 16, and that was the time when my mom was still a drug addict. My dad was still in and out of jail, and I knew I didn't want to be a drug addict, nor did I want to go to jail, so I had to find influence. I had to find influence. I had to find people around me that seemed more focused, kids that people probably looked sideways at or something like that, but those people are still being noticed, and they're being noticed by everyone, and they're not starting any trouble. They're doing their work, and everything like that. So I wanted to be accepted, but I wanted to find a way to make sure that in being accepted, I wasn't like hurting myself, so I wouldn't fight. I wouldn't start fights. I'd stay out of trouble as much as possible. Yeah, I was a rebel, but that was me. That was me. That was something that people knew about me. Yeah, he just wants to be different or whatever. That's fine. I'll take it, but I would make sure to try to stay out of trouble, not follow people, and it drew people to me. It drew teachers to want to help me, it made them push a little more.
Wow. Gal, thank you so much for sharing your story. I love hearing where you were and where you came where you came from and where you ended up, and
Yeah.
hearing your ideas about what would make somebody successful. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.